Bannerlord with ships, a sentence I never thought I'd really be saying, yet here we are. A massive new northern map, full naval battles, a whole new faction arriving by sea, but the real question is simple. Can war sails fix some of Bannerlord's old wounds? My name is Tom, this is LT Gaming, and today we're taking a sensible look at war sails. The new Bannerlord DLC landing on the 26th of this month. And if you enjoy grounded previews and gaming content with a little bit of grumbling where needed, feel free to subscribe or drop a comment, it genuinely helps the channel out. So firstly, what is war sails exactly? This is not a mod, it's a full official TaleWorlds DLC for single player Bannerlord, bringing naval warfare, an expanded northern frontier and a brand new Nord faction. Now let's be perfectly honest here, Bannerlord's modding community has carried this game for years. Total conversions, overhauls, fixes, entire new worlds, all done by fans. So the fact TaleWorlds is stepping back into the ring with a chunky, feature-rich expansion is very interesting in itself, but the quiet question drifting through the longhouse is this War Sails DLC gonna finally move Bannerlord beyond relying on its modders, and how is it gonna play, of course? Let's jump into it. Right, the perfect place to start is talking about the Nords. War Sails introduces a full new faction carved straight out of northern cliffs and fjords. Think of jagged coastlines, icy forests, and people who treat rowing like a competitive sport. These lads and lasses are built around seafaring, their entire culture leans into naval mobility. Fast raids, coastal dominance, and a troop roster that actually makes sense for a faction born on the waves. You're gonna be able to recruit them, trade with them, fight them, or throw your lot in with them entirely. And honestly, they seem geared to shake up things in the campaign meta. Strong shield infantry, aggressive boarding specialists, and those classic Viking-inspired aesthetics. Tattoos, plaits, and the whole "my beard could shelter a small family" look. What I really like right now is how they're trying to plug a gap in Bannerlord's sandbox, and one it's always had. Up until now, the northern edge of Calradia felt a bit like a quiet afterthought. War Sails expands it into a proper frontier, and the Nords give it a region personality, a purpose, and a reason to actually head north rather than chasing hideouts in other locations. So whether you want to look for a new campaign start, a faction with a clear identity, or you simply fancy yelling land ho every 10 minutes, the Nords might be your new favourite Bannerlord family. Alright, let's jump into the big aspect here, that's naval warfare. Bannerlord finally has proper ships, and honestly this looks far more ambitious than I expected. First up, the sailing model isn't just cosmetic. Ships will actually respond to wind direction, momentum, and the weight of the vessel. Smaller longships can turn quickly and build speed fast, heavier warships will feel sluggish, but hit like a battering ram when they get where they're going. Love it so far. But you're not just steering a big wooden rectangle, you're going to manage angles, positioning, and how the wind's treating you. It's not going to exactly be Sea of Thieves, but it's definitely more than press W to go boat. You've actually got to think about it a bit. Now once you're in range, things will get properly chaotic and fun. War Sails allows for multi-point boarding, meaning you can latch onto an enemy vessel at several spots and spill troops across their deck. Archers to soften them up, infantry flood in, and if you're feeling a little bit spicy you can just ram them straight on and let the physics and splintering planks decide the rest. And yes, you can destroy sails and oars, so Ballista and archers can target enemy rigging and slow down their maneuverability and let you pick the perfect moment to board. What I really like is how Bannerlord's existing combat translates to the deck. Shields up, arrows flying, chaos is going to be everywhere. But now on a surface that's moving, rocking, and occasionally maybe on fire. Your troops behave like they would on land, but the environment will add an extra spice that players have been asking for since Bloody Warband. The tactical side looks very promising too. You can use your ship as a floating fortress for archer heavy forces, or run a pack of lightweight raiding vessels that isolate and swarm larger targets. There's a bit of Mount and Blade, a bit of Total War, and maybe a little bit of boat physics thrown in for good measure. My only concern with this is the AI naval pathfinding, and it's humbled a lot bigger studios than TaleWorlds. If ships start to spin in circles or politely ram cliffs, that's going to hurt the experience. But on paper and in the footage we've seen, this is the biggest mechanical shift Bannerlord's had since its launch. Now one of the smartest additions in War Sails is how sieges will work along the coast. You're not just rolling up with battering rams anymore, you can actually besiege a town from the sea. Blockading ports will cut supplies, cripple prosperity, and force defenders into an actual starvation spiral. It turns coastal settlements into a high-risk, high-reward target. Brilliant for raiders, horrible for anyone trying to rely on a quiet fishing economy. Now add this whole new layer to the warfare, so you could be winning every land battle, feeling quite smug about it, and then realise an enemy fleet has quietly parked itself outside your harbour and is absolutely wrecking your best city. It's a proper strategic shift. Control the sea and you can control who eats, who trades, and maybe who panics first. Ignore it and suddenly half your kingdom is starving while the Nords laugh at you from their longships. But let's get on to building your own fleet, because War Sales isn't just going to hand you a dinghy and wish you the best. You're actually going to have to assemble a proper navy force ship by ship. There will be 18 ship types in total, from lightweight longships to chunkier war hulks. Each one will handle differently based on size, design, and how well you're using the wind. Smaller vessels are great for scouting and raiding. The bigger ships turn like a hungover oxen, but are going to hit hard enough to make a trebuchet jealous. And yes, you're going to be able to customize them. Improve the sails for speed, reinforce hulls for tankiness, siege engines if you're feeling like turning your deck into a medieval artillery platform, cargo updates if you're a bit boring and want to trade all the time, or of course if you just want to haul half of Calradia home after a good raid. You can build at coastal shipyards, and these depend on the culture and level of the town. A Nord port might offer hardier longships, while other factions lean into their own naval flavours. Or if you're feeling a bit cheeky, you can simply capture enemy ships and add them straight to your fleet. There'll be a whole new progression loop: earn money, upgrade your fleet, capture better vessels, and then in turn upgrade those, slowly turning yourself from a landlocked nobody to Calradia's answer to the Royal Navy, minus the scurvy, hopefully. Now, War Sales will also expand the RPG side of Bannerlord, quietly, but hopefully in ways that matter. You're not just slapping ships onto your campaign, you're leveling into it. There'll be 3 naval focused skills that improve things like navigation, ship handling, and fleet tactics. Invest in them and suddenly your crew isn't sailing like it's just woke up from a 10-year nap. You're also going to have new mariner troops in the roster, soldiers specifically built for life at sea. Better balance on deck, improved boarding behaviour, that sort of thing. There'll also be a bunch of new cosmetics and gear, Nord tattoos, new hairstyles, some rugged armour sets, the sort of things that scream I've lived on a boat for 6 months and I'm proud of it. And rounding all this off will be new companions with proper maritime backgrounds. Navigators, sailors and scouts, who are going to help your fleets run smoother and add a bit of flavour to the early game. Now thankfully the game is not just going to drop you in the deep end with a boat and a dream. There will be a guided questline to ease you into the whole nautical life thing. You start out small, chasing down a pirate confederacy that's been causing some trouble along the northern coast. It's essentially a learn the ropes campaign. A few cinematic scenes, some early missions, and a steady climb from a single ship to a respectable little fleet. The smart way to introduce mechanics. You're not going to be overwhelmed, you're not going to be lost. By the time you hit sandbox proper, you've already fought a few naval skirmishes, recruited a few mariners, and figured out your port side from starboard. Now, it's not a huge story expansion, but the DLC will give a bit of structure, and honestly, Bannerlord hasn't been great at onboarding in the past, so this is a welcome touch. Now, as excited as I am to finally sail something that isn't just a modded canoe held together by some wishes, we do need to talk about some concerns, because Bannerlord, for all its strengths, has always carried a few old wounds that never seem to heal. First off, let's be completely honest. The modding community has carried this game for years. Some of the most essential features, fixes, and quality of life improvements didn't come from TaleWorlds, they came from fans working for free, and that's just the reality. So the big question sitting over War Sales is, does the DLC actually address long-standing issues? Things like campaign pacing, AI pathfinding, balance quirks, town development, all the stuff that's been quietly nagging players since launch. And now we're layering a naval AI on top of that. Pathfinding at sea is notoriously tricky in any strategy title, so if ships start spinning in circles like confused ducks, it's going to really blunt the impact of all this new content. There's also the matter of competition. Bannerlord has ruled its niche for years because nothing else really did what it did. But games like Chronicles Medieval are knocking loudly on the door, and if War Sales doesn't land properly, that hegemony could start to wobble. Look, side note here though, I was recently in the Chronicles Medieval Discord, and the community was, let's say, a little bit toxic in parts. So quick note to Rule Power if you hear this: and you genuinely want to build a community that can rival Bannerlord's, you need to get that under control. The game is promising, but a rough community can seriously undermine momentum. So yes, War Sails feels big, ambitious and genuinely impressive on paper, but it also has something to prove. The DLC isn't just adding ships, it's TaleWorlds showing they can evolve Bannerlord into 2025 and beyond. So after all of this, where do I land on War Sails? Honestly, I'm bloody excited. The naval combat looks deeper than I expected, the expanded northern frontier gives Bannerlord a fresh sense of scale, and the Nords will add personality to a map that's been crying out for it. At the same time, the DLC has a job to do. Bannerlord's been carried by its modders for years, and War Sails feels like TaleWorlds stepping back on the stage and saying, alright, let's show you what we can actually do. If the AI holds together and the systems mesh well, this could be a genuine upward trend for the game. And just to be clear, I'm not sponsored for this video. I've seen a lot of very glowing coverage around War Sails already. As a long-time Bannerlord fan, I wanted to take a slightly more grounded look. There's plenty to be optimistic about, don't get me wrong, but there are real concerns that deserve a bit of daylight. And if the whole thing goes sideways, well, at least we're going to have some beautiful longships to admire while the community mods the rest themselves. But that's my take, folks. I'd love to hear yours. Are you picking up War Sails on release? Are you diving into a fresh Nord campaign? Are you going to stick with your favourite overhaul mod and wait to see how the dust settles on this? If you've enjoyed this grounded look at the DLC, feel free to subscribe, leave me a comment and share your thoughts below. It genuinely helps the channel. And of course, I always enjoy interacting with you lot. Alright, that will do it for today, guys. See you on the next one. Bye bye now.